Before Prince, before Rick James, before Bruno Mars ever touched a mic, there was Sly Stone. A man who didn't just play music, he redefined it. He made funk psychedelic, he made soul political, and he built one of the most groundbreaking bands in music history, only to watch it all crumble in a haze of drugs, paranoia, and self-destruction. Sly Stone was born Sylvester Stewart on March 15, 1943 in Denton, Texas, and raised in Vallejo, California in a religious, musically gifted family. By the age of 4, he was already playing instruments in church. By high school, he was producing records for other artists, a true prodigy. In the mid-1960s, Sly worked as a DJ for K-Soul, a San Francisco soul radio station. Throw it up for the Bay Area. But he didn't just play the hits. He challenged race barriers by mixing black and white artists in his playlists, something that was virtually unheard of at the time. Now, y'all gotta understand that, see, back when Sly was a DJ, he was trying to bring people together in a time where people was not so together, okay? As you know, it was a lot of racism going on back in those days. And so he tried to break that barrier down by playing songs by both races. He'll try to mix them both in there to get people to see things in a less political or divisive way. In 1966, he formed Sly and the Family Stone, an integrated co-ed genre blending group that changed the face of popular music. And if you know anything about Sly and the Family Stone, oh yeah, he was doing every last bit of that. The band included black and white members, men and women, all with powerhouse talent. And see, like I said, this ties back to when he was a DJ. He was trying hard to really bring, unity as opposed to segregation or the dividing of different races and ethnicities. So in his group, it was diverse, okay? And together, they created a sound that no one had ever heard before. Their breakthrough came with Dance to the Music, followed by hits like Everyday People, Sing a Simple Song, Stand, Hot Fun in the Summertime, and the politically charged anthem, Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again. But Sly wasn't just making hits. He was speaking truth to power. His lyrics challenged racism, war, poverty, and social division, all at the height of the civil rights era. He wasn't afraid to be radical. And that's one thing about Sly was he stood up. He stood on business for what he believed in. See, he was more so with the groove of, look, we should all be getting along. Why y'all trying to oppress us? Okay, we're going to talk about it. See, he was the voice in that era through music that was really making a stance. He didn't care about what everybody thought about him. He was radical. So if you know anything about people who are radical, you know they don't care. They come here to get their point across, and they gon', stand up for what's right. Okay? Because political ain't always bad. In his case, he was bringing people together, see? So you could debunk that how you want to debunk it. But Sly was one that was more like, look, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I'm going to stand right by that, and I'm going to stand beside that, okay? He was funk, freedom, and fire all rolled into one, and he sure was that. By 1969, Sly and the Family Stone were one of the biggest bands in the world. Their performance at Woodstock is still considered one of the greatest live shows of all time. But at the peak of his fame, Sly began to unravel. As the spotlight intensified, so did the drugs, cocaine, PCP, acid. Sly's behavior became erratic. He missed concerts, alienated bandmates, and started showing up late, or not at all. And like I always say about the music industry, if you know anything about it, you already know, like, once people get famous, they go down a slippery slope. That's why when you get in that industry, you really got to say no to drugs, because that's how they get you. You really got to say no to drugs. So a lot of times him being on drugs, it made him miss concerts. He didn't keep up with the band. It was just more like, look, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. Now, he replaced his trusted bodyguards with members of the Black Panthers. He carried guns. He installed security cameras in every room. He reportedly slept with the gun under his pillow, convinced that people were out to unalive him. Sometimes even his own bandmates. And that's another part they don't talk about with the industry. So when you get up in the industry, you got to have people that's going to have your back. Because if you don't, you just green. They going to catch you leaking. And that's the thing. The industry is dark. And so when Sly was saying he felt like people was after him, That could have very much so been the case, because you hear a lot of people in the industry that always talk about, look, I feel like somebody after me. Michael Jackson said it. Martin Lawrence was running down the street saying they trying to unalive me. Like, it's a lot of people. These people are not crazy. It's a lot of people that have something to say and felt like, with some shady business in the contract. There's a little bit of devil in them details. And so he got down with the Black Panthers, as I stated, and the Black Panthers was radical, political, and they also fed a lot of families in the Bay Area. The Black Panthers stood on business, and Sly Stone needed that type of protection. Pressure of fame combined with untreated mental health issues triggered full-blown paranoia. He isolated himself in his Bel Air mansion, surrounded by drugs, exotic animals, and shady figures who enabled his worst instincts. And see, the industry got a whole bunch of yes men, yes bosses. So, you got to hold people accountable. If he would have had good people in his corner, they would have been telling him, look, Sly, you going down the wrong path, and you need to lighten up. Okay? You need to lighten up. You need to, put these drugs up. You need to really get back on track with your music. See, if he had good friends around him, he could have got through that. But see, everybody was enabling the worst in him because they was all benefiting off of him, which I think is wrong. The band tried to hold it together, but the damage was done. By the mid-1970s, members began dropping out. His relationships, both personal and professional, crumbled. So the band just was like, look, we can't do it no more. We missing shows. People not even... That's not a good look for us. So then he released There's a Riot Going On in 1971, a dark, chaotic masterpiece filled with distortion, mumbled vocals, and paranoia. Critics called it brilliant, while others called it a breakdown on vinyl. Either way, it was the sound of a genius imploding in real time. And see, being an artist that's big in the industry like Sly was, see, he might have had a lot of mental health issues, as they say, but at the same time, you got to put yourself in his shoes and understand it's hard being famous. People are after you. People got their hand out. You don't know who good, who bad. You don't know who really there, being a plant. Like, a lot of that type of stuff will send you into paranoia, whether you got mental illness or not, okay? Everything ain't mental illness. He started probably seeing through the lines of things. Something don't seem right about this environment, That's not always him having a mental illness attack. But see, he did have a breakdown, but that's where good, reputable people in his corner was supposed to be there. He needed those reputable, good, honest people to tell him, look, we gonna help you. We gonna help you get it together. But see, he didn't have that. His love life was no less messy. Sly married model Kathy Silva on stage at Madison Square Garden in 1974. A publicity stunt more than a romance. The marriage was short-lived, and their son, Sly Jr., grew up mostly away from the spotlight. And keep the kids out the spotlight, that's best. Over the years, Sly fathered several children with different women and was known to vanish from their lives for years at a time. By the 1980s, Sly Stone had all but disappeared. The man who once set the music world on fire had become a recluse. Rumors swirled he was homeless, living in vans, showing up randomly at small clubs or not at all. For years, no one really knew where he was or if he'd ever come back. In 2010, it was revealed Sly Stone was living in a white camper van parked in a stranger's backyard in South Central Los Angeles, broke, addicted, and largely forgotten. And that's really sad, See, that's the thing. The industry and the people in it, they will literally rob you until there's nothing else to rob from you. Because there was no way he should have been broke. Like I said, if they get all of their royalties, the artists don't never get the royalties. It's always the record labels and everybody else except for the artist, okay? And there was no reason for him to be sitting up here homeless. And I just feel like the music industry did him an injustice. Like I just feel like the industry treated him terribly. They didn't do their part. It was no way he had hits on top of hits. There was no way he was supposed to be sitting up here living in a camper in someone's backyard in South Central, okay? And it's sad. If he had good friends around him, they would have got him help a long time ago. But one thing never changed, his voice. Even in hiding, even at rock bottom, Sly remained unapologetically outspoken, especially about the music industry that he felt used him. He was vocal in interviews, calling out executives, racism, and the machine that chews up black artists and leaves them behind. He was raw, blunt, and didn't hold back, even if the world stopped listening. And that's true. He spoke up about these things. He would tell people look, he would tell his fans, he would interview and always say, look, watch these executives. They taking all our money. We're black artists. We are the ones with the talent, but we are not seeing our money. And it's true. The machine was chewing him and the rest of his peers up. They was chewing black folks up in the industry, and it's really crazy because half of the executives, they don't have the talent. They just know numbers. They know money. They know royalties. They know all of the stuff that a lot of artists may not know when they first get signed. Because you can even look at artists today. Look at Megan Thee Stallion. She signed the 360 deal. She didn't come out good. Nicki Minaj, when she got signed the 360 deal, and nothing has changed. In 2023, Sly published his long-awaited memoir, Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again, finally telling his story his way. On June 9th, 2025, the world lost him for good. Sly Stone died at the age of 82, leaving behind a legacy that was beautifully broken and bigger than music itself. But even as his life descended into chaos, his influence never disappeared. Sly Stone's fingerprints are everywhere in modern music. Prince called him his greatest inspiration. Dr. Dre, Outkast, D'Angelo, and Kendrick Lamar carried his rhythm and rebellion. His fearless blending of race, gender, genre, and politics reshaped what music could be. He wasn't just a musician. He was a visionary, a disruptor, a warning, and a blueprint. He gave us a new sound and paid the highest price for it. And while his story ends with silence, his music will never stop speaking. Sly Stone may be gone, but he showed us that brilliance doesn't always look polished, and truth doesn't always come wrapped in a pretty bow. Sometimes the most powerful voices are the ones that shake us, challenge us, and refuse to be tamed. So today, we don't just mourn what we lost, we celebrate what he gave. The courage to be different, the freedom to be loud, the right to be real. Let Sly's story be a reminder that your truth, your art, and your fire matter, even when the world doesn't get it. Rest in power, Sly Stone, and thank you for being you, and we letting you be yourself. That's it. I'm clocking out. I'm checking out. I'm getting up out of here from coming through with controversy. And I hope to see y'all in the next video. Be sure to comment down below who you want to hear next, what story you want to hear next. Look, we doing it all for this year. Let's do it. Give this video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, all of that good old stuff. But yeah, comment down below and let me know. Let me know what song you still jamming a Sly Stone this year. So yeah, I'm gonna see y'all in my next video, and I'm here. I'm out.